It's Kat here. Today I'm going to be doing my February 2017 TBR. So for February, since it starts with F, I was thinking, like what could I do? And it's fantasy, sure, but I read a lot of fantasy. So one thing that I've been struggling to find is really good FF, F/F, whether it's lesbian fiction or questioning fiction where there's a woman and another woman, or a girl and and there's some sort of romance or adventure and romance or fantasy and romance, just FF. So because it's such a challenge to find really great stuff, I'm just going to dedicate the whole month to it. So I'm curious to see if you have read these books or if you are looking for any FF, especially fantasy. It's quite hard to find that. I'm just going to start off and tell you guys the fantasy that I found that I'm going to read, and all the stories I chose are well recommended on Goodreads, as well as being interesting to me topic-wise. So the first is A Petal and a Thorn by Belladonna's. There's a writer named Clara, and she wrote this famous novel about 10 years ago. Her novel featured two Victorian women who are friends first for a long time, and then they end up falling in love, and I believe they run away together. But after writing that novel, she became really famous because she wrote it when she was young. Then after that, she kind of falls into like a downward slump, and she just becomes really bitter about life and people and herself too. So she is planning to commit suicide, and at that moment, the characters from her book start to come alive. So I'm pretty excited to read it. I hope it is very good. It sounds interesting. It sounds like such a cool idea. So I was just thinking, if that was my life and I wrote a story, I can only assume when you write your own book that you have a connection to your characters. Things, elements in them that you like, especially if they're your main characters, and especially in a romance. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's A Petal and a Thorn by Belladonna's. The next fantasy is The Traitor Baru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. And I want to read this book, obviously, just not only because of the name, but it's definitely in no small part because of the name. The Traitor Baru Cormorant. The character's name is Baru Cormorant. Hello, like, how awesome. It's described as a geopolitical fantasy where Baru Cormorant's country is colonized by this other country called the Empire of Masks. And so she decides to submit to the new rule and slowly climb the ranks, and then she wants to destroy it from within. Kind of insidious, but like in a really cool way. One of her tests is that she must travel to this strange land where everyone is very hostile and it's a warring nation. She must also hide herself, hide her true intentions, and not fall in love with the Duchess of a warring nation. So I'm like, okay, so there's Traitor Baru Cormorant, who's obviously awesome, a sea pirate slash inside assassin slash geopolitical maneuver, and then there's the Duchess of a warring nation. I'm like, okay, I really hope it's amazing. I have such high hopes for it. I hope I'm right. The next fantasy is Sword of the Guardian by Mary Shannon. So in this one, there's an attempted assassination, and there's a princess, and she decides to hire the person that helped thwart the assassination, who just happens to be an acrobat slash assassin named Talon. So she decides to hire him. On the back of the book it was like, oh, and Talon isn't all he appears because ... So I'm like, knowing that this is FF and knowing that it's not all that he appears ... I'm like, awesome. I hope there's some cross-dressing. I hope there is some awesome like acrobatic swashbuckling. Okay, and the last fantasy I'm gonna read this month is called The Porcelain Dove by Delia Sherman. The narrator is a chambermaid, and it's during the French Revolution. But it's not just any old French Revolution. It's a recast French Revolution in the terms of a fairy tale. So there's this town, and it's shrouded by a curse and a fairy tale and like a mystery. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just put all the things that I love together. Revolution, chambermaids, duchesses, fairy tales. This sounds awesome. Okay, so those are the 4 fantasy reads for this month. So I'm gonna get into the fiction reads. So obviously fantasy is fiction, but I'm talking about fiction that has no magic, no princesses, no swashbuckling. I chose the 2 probably like top tier cream of the crop FFs of all time. Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. So it involves oyster girl turned dresser, Nan King. Kitty Butler, who is a male impersonator actress in London. I know that this book is mad hyped up. I'm always a little leery of reading books that are like so hyped up because then my bar is like way up here and then I feel bad that maybe you won't meet my bar, but I'm trying to keep the bar here-ish so that if I read it and I'm like, wow, that's awesome, I'll still think it's awesome and not think it's a letdown. So I did read Sarah one of her other books, which was Fingersmith. I thought it was really well written. However, I thought that the entire middle section of the book just dragged a lot. And I also found the sexual tension between them, it was only there for like a page, 2 pages, 3 pages. So like the whole plot was very interesting, but the romantic part, the part that makes it an FF romance, was lacking for me. I'm sorry to everyone that loves it, but it was a little lacking to me. So I'm really hoping that in Tipping the Velvet, which I believe is, you know, the top of all lesbian romances, that it will just blow me away. I'm so hopeful. Okay, and the next one is The MisEducation of Cameron Post. So I know BookTube loves this book, and I know it's a very popular book with everyone. I can't wait to read it. I know that it's about a girl named Cameron, obviously Cameron Post. She was kissing her best friend. After that, she finds out that her parents died in a car crash, and it's kind of how she navigates her life after that. I'm assuming probably that because of the timing, maybe she'll blame herself and her actions for causing the accident, which obviously is not the case, but I believe she's quite young. So I'm interested to see how she develops. So I'm excited to read it, and let me know if you've read Tipping the Velvet or The MisEducation of Cameron Post, because I'm really curious. I know they're really popular and I can't wait to read them. Okay, and the last, I just thought I would throw in one nonfiction, and this, out of all the nonfictions I looked at, sounded the most interesting of all time. So it's called Amy and Jaguar, and it's by Erica Fisher. It's a true love story, and it's set in Berlin, 1943, during World War II Nazi Germany. So Amy is the wife of a Nazi officer, and she runs into Jaguar, who is a Jew hiding underground in Berlin. And it's about their love story and fighting to stay together. So yeah, that's my TBR for February, and let me know what you think. Okay, happy reading. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye.